Starbucks of Star. Okay, but yeah, I thought I was gonna post video number one and then go hide up under a rock because I can't believe I really posted it to YouTube. But I'm here to continue part two of Jordan's story. So what happened to Jordan and why we're here, um, all that good stuff. So I do gotta backtrack just a little bit. The one thing that I didn't touch on in the video is the why. Why did I go into labor? Why did all of that happen? So I gotta backtrack. After I had him, when they were wheeling me to my room, they were like, well, your blood pressure was high. And they also told me that my iron was very low and I had lost a lot of blood. So eventually I needed an iron transplant. I got the iron transplant the day after because my stay was a little bit longer because of the emergency C-section. My stay was a little bit longer. So the doctor that delivered him, she came in the morning after I had him. So at the time when she came in, she seemed fidgety, but I thought she was just, at that time, I thought that she was just somber about the whole situation. That was what I took it for. I took it for somberness at the time. And she was like, oh, we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. And yeah, I'm praying for Jordan. Da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, well, that was nice of her. Day after, ended up getting a iron transplant. So that next day, my hospital stay that I had the iron transplant, I woke up with the worst headache I think I've ever had in my life. Probably the second worst headache I've ever had in my life, but it was really bad. And I remember nurses would come in there and check on me, and I kept telling them I got a headache. And the nurses I had that day on the day shift were terrible. Like, that lady had the worst attitude ever for a postpartum nurse. I told her, I'm like, my head hurt. My head hurt. And she was like, so you want your Percocet? And I'm like, my head hurt. I want something for pain, but like, I don't know if she thought I was just trying to get some Percocets or what, but I'm letting you know I have a headache. I've been had a headache. Like, I literally laid in my hospital room that day with the blinds closed, everything closed, dark. I didn't eat any of my dinner trays. My breakfast, lunch, dinner, nothing. My head hurted that bad. So this specific day, I would like talk to my people on and off, but I was like sleep most of the day. They were down at the other hospital with Jordan, so I'm not mad at them or anything. Like, so when they would talk to me, I'm like, yeah, I just got a little headache. That's it. I was like out of it. So initially, I was like, am I having an iron overdose? Did they overdose me on iron? Like, what's going on? I got this headache. So that next day, after the really bad headache, they end up discharging me. So, discharge. And as I told y'all, I went and seen Jordan. So, I went to pick up pain meds, and I went, because they kept me on iron because my iron was so low. And I'll never forget, I still had the headache, y'all. So I had the headache when I went and seen him at the hospital. The headache never had stopped. It never stopped. When I say never stopped, it never stopped. But I was, I guess, going off adrenaline, everything that had happened. I had to go see my baby. I'll never forget, one of my church members is a pharmacist at the Walmart I go to. And that's where I was picking my medicine from. And I remember I picked my medicine up from her, and I asked her, I said, I know this is going to sound really stupid. I said, I have a really bad headache. I said, they prescribed me iron pills, which is, of course, what I'm picking up. I said, but I had an iron transfusion in the hospital. And I was like, can you overdose on iron? I was like, is this why I'm having a headache? And I remember she told me, no, honey, that's not why. She said, you need to call your doctor. She was like, if you had a headache this long, she was like, I guarantee you it's not the iron. Call your doctor. Went home, and I called my auntie in the process of all this. So after I talked to the pharmacist, I called my auntie, because my auntie, she a nurse. I call her for everything. And she was like, you need to check your blood pressure. Because at this point, I know I've had these issues and stuff before, but like I said, I'm worried about my child, so I'm not really thinking too much outside the box. And she's like, you need to check your pressure, Missy. I'm like, all right, check my pressure. And if I'm not mistaken, I think my blood pressure was 160 over 100. Too damn high. Call my OB, because at this point you still under your OB. You just had a baby. I call their office and I tell them, and they're like, you need to come back in. You need to go back to the hospital. So go back to the hospital. Pressure was high, headache was still there, and pretty much the doctors was playing with me. They was playing with me. They gave me some medication on the drip for the pain. But I was like, because preeclampsia, you can still get preeclampsia even after you have a baby. So I'm like, this preeclampsia? Because everything there. And I had protein in my urine too once I got back to the hospital. So it was protein in my urine, crazy freaking headache, blood pressure sky high. No, it's not. It's not. They call up to labor and delivery, and somebody from my doctor's office, it wasn't my doctor, but they told them she fine, let her go. So I think my potassium or something was low. Yeah, I think my potassium was low. And a nurse came in, Angel. And my mama went off on the doctor and said, she told him, my grandson is fighting for his life in the NICU. Now I feel like y'all trying to kill my daughter. Y'all not finna send her home. You said it's protein in her urine, her blood pressure sky high. All you've given her is some pain medication. Y'all need to figure it the fuck out. Doctor leave out. This doctor mad. Nurse come in because she's supposed to give me a potassium pill. So she pulls. I remember her. I'm laying there like with the lights off. And she was like, she told my mom, thank you. Thank you for advocating for your daughter. She said, me and the nurses are outside looking, at her stuff in the computer. And we're like, why are you trying to send this girl home? She was like, thank you for advocating for your daughter. And she was like, don't tell them I told you any of this. But thank you. So somehow they transferred me to a whole nother room. I guess the doctor was mad at me, through with me. They sent me to a whole nother doctor. I meet this other doctor, an Angel. I explain everything that happened to her, how we ended up here, my son in the NICU, and protein, blood pressure. This lady goes and gets me a paper. I still have this paper to this day, and it had like all my numbers and stuff for the entire hospital stay from when I had my son. And she was like, you're preeclamptic. She's like, she was like, that's what it is. You're preeclamptic. She was like, that's what sent you into early labor. She was like, preeclampsia. They're all there. Protein, high blood pressure, the headaches. You're preeclamptic. You need to be on blood pressure medication. So I'm like, tell me something. So they still end up doing they did a CT scan in my head. So this hospital visit, I end up on blood pressure medication because I'm preeclamptic. And I find out I have a cyst on my brain. Don't know where that came from. So a lot transpired. And this is why I go hard for, maternal health and like black women having babies, because if I wouldn't have went back to the hospital, or if I would have went home, who's to say I wouldn't have had a stroke and died? Because y'all was just going. The doctor that got mad at my mom wasn't even going to send me home on blood pressure medication. They were not going to send me home. They literally treated the pain for the headache and was going to send me on my way. That wasn't going to stop preeclampsia. That wasn't going to stop blood pressure issues. So all that was going on as well while my son is fighting for his life. I'm having to go back to the hospital. So they give me blood pressure medication. And I'm like, all right, I'm taking blood pressure medicine. This is nuts. that I don't want to hear we don't know why, because, you know, at this point I'm coming down. You know, delivery's over, but now when I see how y'all were just gonna send me home, and even the doctors from my practice, y'all told this woman to send me home. You treated a headache. You didn't even treat the blood pressure issues. You treated a headache and was about to send me home. And that's the sad part about it, because what if I ain't have a mama with a big mouth and they would have sent me home? What would have happened? What would have happened to me? Because my blood pressure wasn't going to do anything but get higher and higher. So yeah, at this point, I'm feeling like some of these doctors is full of shit, because we found our why. We know why this happened to Jordan at this point. It don't take a rocket scientist to see. And I stand on that to this day. I stand on that to this day. I know why this happened to my child. Because the doctor that delivered him played that to the end. She don't know why it happened to him. Yes, we do. The second doctor at the hospital told me why this happened to my son. And that's why I go hard for women having babies, black women definitely having babies, because if my mama, not another doctor, if my mama wouldn't have stood up for me, I would have got sent home that night, and God knows what would have happened after that. God knows if I would have survived through the night that night. If I would have had a stroke. We don't know what would have happened. So doctors may say they don't know why this happened to Jordan, but I know why. Well, a doctor may say they don't know why this happened to Jordan, but me, some nurses, and some other doctors do know why this happened to Jordan. Alright, come back from part 3, but I definitely had to address those issues, the why of it and the background of what was going on with me, to completely wrap the story all in one. Like, what happened to me is a part of Jordan's story. But I'll be back for part 3. Every time you want to be quiet and sit in your backyard, all the noise, airplanes, mowing grass, whatever that noise was that came from the front of the house. Bye-bye. Look, we're going to miss you guys, but not miss you.